Okay, it's time to dive into another Spock's Beard. Pattern seeking animals. Man, I just tripped over my feet this entire intro. Well, let's get into it. Only Passing Through by Pattern Seeking Animals. So, despite what I said in the introduction, these guys are far and away just a side project of a bunch of Spock's Beard members. This is their own band. This isn't even like a super group of any kind. And as I mentioned, it's not even like a detour, but they are consistent of a bunch of artists that came in to help fill out Spock's Beard after both Neil Morse and then later Nick DeVirgilio left Spock's Beard. So we have Ted Leonard being on lead vocals and guitars, Dave Morose being on bass, as well as Jimmy Keegan on drums. So the three of them have ties to Spock's Beard. Coming in, I believe, with Brief Nocturnes, which is still probably my favorite Spock's Beard album, if I'm being perfectly honest. But they have left since Ground Noises or Floor Noises. That one was filling out this band, and in some cases kind of the mastermind of this band. We have a John maybe it's Boyholt. I'm really bad with pronunciations. You guys know this. He's the main keyboardist as well as the production side of things. And so it's kind of like his mastermind project. And he works quite a bit with soundtracks and scores of different media. And you can really hear his orchestration and his vision for a lot of these tracks and a lot of these albums. And it kind of also shows where this band has deviated from their roots with Spock's Beard. This is their third album, by the way. Their first one being self-titled, the second one being Prehensile Tales. Now we're coming into Only Passing Through. And I mean, the original idea for this band was that they were going to put out one album a year for as long as they could sustain. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen as much as they wanted to release this last year. Just pandemic stuff, you guys know all this. The first two, I felt like were trying different things. The first self-titled one was trying a little bit more in the pop style, a little bit more in the rock. Second one was dipping their toes a little bit more into the progressive side. There were longer stretches of music in that one. And both, for me, came at a lukewarm. Like, I know a lot of people love this band, and I enjoy them. Like, anything that gets me closer to the Brief Nocturne soundscapes, love it. But I do feel as though both of these albums are very, very similar to like the Oblivion Particle, which was the last album that these boys were with Spock's Beard. That album had moments on it that I really enjoyed, but overall it was one of the weaker post-Neil outfits. I feel like the boys kind of took those flaws, for lack of a better term, and it kind of continued those in these albums. Now, what I will say about this album, though, is that instead of trying to do like more rock pop on the one and more progressive rock on the other, they kind of thread the needle between the two. So we do have a number of tracks on here that are a little bit more in the lengthy, like the third track, which is probably my favorite track of Time Has a Way, if you include the first track of Everdark Mountain being kind of like an interlude or a prologue. And this one's at 13 plus minutes, and I do love how this track, being about 13 minutes or so, is able to maintain the energy and maintain the flow for the entire runtime. It's my favorite track. I love the ebbs and flows of this. I love the ups and downs. But as I mentioned, the best part about this track is the constant energy that these guys are putting out. Now, that being said, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about Everdark Mountain, as well as I Can't Stay Here Anymore. These two tracks do a very good job of opening it up. I love, again, the kind of rockish overtones of these two tracks. The energy is still there. It's also something that I will credit the whole band for. It's very accessible. It's very hummable. It's definitely something that you could sing along to, which some people might not necessarily enjoy, especially if you're coming to progressive rock and you're looking for that like very complex, very sophisticated aspects. You're not quite there. The one thing that I will notice is, unlike the past two albums where the bass playing by Dave Morose was so present, I didn't quite feel that here. He is a little bit pushed back in the mix, but that also allows for John, the keyboardist, to kind of fill in the shoes in that, because, I mean, the keyboards are really what's driving this tracks. It is interesting that Ted Leonard, being the guitarist on here, kind of, the guitars are there, but again, they're also kind of pushed back. And in some cases this works because of the, the prominence of the keyboards, but in others, Now the one thing that I will say is I also enjoy how like pleasant sounding a lot of these tracks are. I know that's kind of funny to say, but like the fourth track of Rock, Paper, Scissors, where, you're talking about basically using this very rudimentary, very innocent way of problem solving of just, rock, paper, scissors, and trying to apply it to the more complex and more nuanced problems that adults have. And it's really tackling some really interesting ideas in that case. And I really do enjoy that. It is also kind of doing the same thing in terms of it sounds very simplistic, very fun, very innocent, but the rhythm styles of this are anything but. It's very complex in terms of like the actual song structure and rhythm section in that. So I do appreciate this kind of, 1-2 punch in that case. I just wish that a lot of these other tracks had a little bit more stay power, like Much Ado is a great rockin' track, very prominent guitar works, one of the first times I heard it on this album. Once that main riff comes through, I'm not really here for the song all that much. It doesn't grab my attention as much as Time Has a Way did. The title track of Only Passing Through is a nice, like, low-key track, but it definitely doesn't really capture my attention all that much. It isn't really until Said the Stranger, which is much more of like this like spaghetti western flair to it, my mind kind of snaps back to reality. Oops, there goes gravity. I'm spaghetti. And I do enjoy that it's a little bit longer as well, like stretching out into the 7 minutes, which is a great time. And the album proper ends quite well with the track Here With You With Me. It's a very cinematic track. This is definitely where that John Baghold, I think I got it right, where his programming, where his production side really, really shine through, and his orchestration of sounds on here, like it does feel like it could have come off of any kind of like soundtrack in that case. It's very big, it's very vibrant, it feels very symphonic and cinematic in that case. I do wish that there was just like a little bit more of a build up and payoff to this track. I mean, this track is over 8 minutes long, and I was really hoping for like some really big crescendo moment that never really happened. And I mean, I can't really diss a track for something that's not there, but it would have been nice. And it does bleed out the album proper. And there are 2 bonus tracks, I'm Not Alright, which kind of gave me flashbacks from My Chemical Romance, and it's fine. I really do enjoy the final track, the final bonus track of Just Another Day at the Beach. Really enjoyed this track. It was bouncy. It was fun. It's a very bouncy track. So overall, this album is a little bit of a mixed grab bag for me. It's probably, that being said, it's probably the most solid album of theirs. I mean, all of their albums for me are a little bit of a mixed grab bag. I'm still waiting for that solid album from them, if I'm being honest. Some tracks really, really hit well. Like I said, Time Has a Way was great. Said the Stranger was really, really fun. And Just Another Day at the Beach was a really, really good time. I just wish that they were able to maintain that energy that they had set out from the beginning half of the album with Much Ado, Only Passing Through, and I was left a little lackluster with Here With You With Me, but it was still a really good time, if I'm being honest. Like, even with the flaws, I still think this is probably their strongest album. I think this is the one that will probably appease the most amount of people as well. And I feel like this is a very good, like, spring album. It has this very solid renewal phase within it that I really, really enjoyed. I also enjoyed how all of the musicians are playing very well together, and they feel very, like, they're feeling very comfortable playing with everybody as well. So in the end, I will say that Only Passing Through by Pattern Seeking Animals is one that I would probably download. it's good enough to have on my computer. You know, it's good enough to have when I go out onto a walk. This is a good kind of like Saturday afternoon when I'm taking a walk through the woods kind of an album. So that's where I'm at for this one. What did you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? It's coming out this Friday, so get excited. If you haven't already received it, because I know sometimes, you know, record companies will send out LPs and the albums a little bit beforehand, so you might even have the album. And if you do, and if this album, or if you're listening to this after the album is dropped, let me know what you thought about it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I love those validation numbers. And give this album, you know, give this a little thumbs up. Because if you give it a thumbs up, the algorithm says, ooh, this is a video that other people want to see. I will put it in front of other people's faces. So yeah, let's play the algorithm a little bit. And that's all I got. That's all I got. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.